Why can't we?
Yeah, exactly.
O, sveiki. Mada. Sveiki.
Kaip jūs, Vitalijai, laikotės?
Laikomės. Dabar vienas gyvenu. Visi išvažiavo jo atostogų.
Nu ir kaip jums sekasi vienam gyventi?
Gerai, miegu kada noriu. Valgau kada noriu. Ką noriu. Yra laisvo laiko. Viskas puikiai.
Turit biškį laisvės.
Streso nėra, reikia numesti svorio šiek tiek.
Turit susidaręs planą, kaip mesit svorį.
Nemokama sporto salė. Reikia netingėti eiti tenai. Bandysim. Pusę mėnesio dar būsiu vienas. Žiūrėsiu. Visi tie patys, ne?
Sveiki, Vitalijau, sveiki.
Laba. Va.
Kaip vasara jūsų?
Normaliai, tėvas išvažiavo, visi išvažiavo. Kol kas vienas. Bulgari восхитились.
How is it going?
Good, good. We still believe in better life, yeah. Sorry?
Again, nothing changes.
Понад усе! Понад усе! Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі. Слава! 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 As always, we're going to start our peaceful war rally on 1370th day with our beautiful and very powerful national anthem. Thank you so much.
Ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми, браття, козацького роду. Тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми, браття, козацького
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі.
Слава! Слава!
On Friday, 15th of August this year, we found out that nothing can be decided in America, that if a red carpet is laid for a war criminal and he is taken seriously, the only people who will decide the outcome of this war is Ukrainian people, and mostly those who are on the front line right now for 1,370 days now of full-scale invasion. And from 2014 February, we are fighting off the biggest evil this world has seen. Let me remind you that annexation was made illegal in the end of World War II because countries like USSR were annexing territory of Finland and other places. Whenever they can take their hands on, they would take it. And the numbers do not lie. Moldova, 1992, they took 20% of Moldova. Georgia, 2008, they took 20% of Georgia. Ukraine right now, 20%. This is not a coincidence. This is a ruthless war crime. Because Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Stop Russia, stop the war. 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 And the peace on Russian terms is not a peace. Anything on Russian terms is criminal. Only because of Ukrainian resilience. Russians were too weak to send any reinforcement to Syria last year. And another dictatorship fell because of Ukrainian resilience, because of Ukrainian sacrifice as the biggest European country. All the promises that were made to us in the 90s When we refused all the nuclear weapons that were based, it was third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, was based in Ukraine after USSR broke apart. Russia and America told us, if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we will make sure that your integrity, your borders will stay the same. Russia broke their promise. America laid a red carpet for the person who was in charge of breaking it. This is why this peace can be only on conditions. Not even Ukrainian demands or what we want. It needs to follow nothing else but international laws, Geneva Conventions. And this is why we get here. We had more than 500 war rallies in last 3.5 years. We will gather here. It is the longest peaceful war rally in the British history. And we will gather here until the last day of this war. Not until a business deal is made, but when we get peace on our land. Because for us this is personal. For us this is existential war. Russia is not a Ukrainian problem. Russia is a world problem. Wagner mercenaries that are now rebranded for raging civil wars in 4 different African countries, killing civilians in Syria for more than a decade, helping their dictator, second generation or third generation dictator over there, Bashar Assad. They rigged elections in Belarus in 2020. Armed Russian soldiers were sent there to subdue any evidence of any democracy or any freedom of speech. Another dictator helping another dictator. So when this war is over, when, not if, with peace, Belarusians will get democracy. Russians, even the same people who came to kill us, will have a democracy, because the only way this war can be over is for democracy, peace and freedom to prevail and for dictatorship to cease to exist. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 And hundreds of Sundays here. Hundreds of Sundays. I gave an example. Like Russians are using their language as a weapon. That more and more people must learn Russian language. What was one of the conditions that Putin gave for a peace in Ukraine? That Russian language is an official language in Ukraine. Same thing they pressed to be second language in Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. They failed, and they will fail here again. Russians are nothing but scumbag terrorist invaders. They are generational war criminals. Those Latvians, those Estonians, those Lithuanians, so many different nations, the only reason why their parents speak Russian language is because they're parents of those who invaded Ukraine right now, of those who killed civilians in Syria, in Georgia, in Moldova, in Chechnya, in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Central African Republic, the list goes on. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 This is why a handful of volunteers are gathering other volunteers and support Ukraine. Those people who organize these war rallies, I am one of the volunteers. We gathered more than 1.25 million pounds of direct aid for directly to some soldiers, and we have worked with British Ukrainian aid and helped them to, I don't know even the exact number. Last time we checked it was about 750 vehicles in Fulham, where we have Toloka. We have packed in last 3.5 years more than 25,000 first medical aid kits. Many of them, unfortunately, were already used. Many of them, fortunately, have already saved Ukrainian lives. So when, especially Ukrainians, if we are not in the army, we are for the army. Nothing, I tell you, nothing will be decided in Alaska. Nothing for Ukraine will be decided in Moscow. I tell you, nothing. They wanted to take over in 3 to 5 days. We are on the 4th year of a full-scale invasion. They needed 10,000 North Koreans last year in the Kursk region. So North Koreans were fighting Ukrainians in Russian Kursk region. If I tell you that a year ago, you would have told me, are you mad? But that was a year ago on the 6th of August last year. For more than 6 months, Ukrainian soldiers war over Russian territory. And the nuclear country did nothing. They did nothing. All they can do is use local precision weapons against us. Let me get to North Korea. All they can do is set the threats of our cities. But we are fighting our army. They are fighting our civilians. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
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 And instead of shooting a war criminal in the head who kidnapped more than 19,500 children, we saw American soldiers, because I know many American soldiers who volunteer in Ukraine. When those soldiers saw their colleagues, their brothers, standing on their knees to put a red carpet for the war criminal that is wanted, most European and internationally wanted person since 17th of March 2023. They were ashamed of what they were seeing. They were ashamed. The Americans were ashamed what they were seeing on their television. And when you heard the demands, you understand that reasoning with war criminals is madness and a crime. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 And I was listening to Sternenko today, and Sternenko said, first time I do not envy Zelensky, because he has two choices. To deny the deal that Trump is pushing and annoy Trump, or take the deal and be hated by every Ukrainian that he represents. This is a choice that Volodymyr Zelensky has tomorrow when he will be having a meeting with Donald Trump in America. This is why we gather here. This is why we help. We do not wait until the aid to Ukraine is frozen, unfrozen, stopped, started, stopped, started. Because while some countries contemplate how it will affect them in an economical field, we have no choice to fight. We have no choice to volunteer. We, every single person that you see in front of you, we are forced to be here. Every single person here, many of them did not even live in this country before this war had started. This is the biggest refugee crisis since World War II. This is the largest European war since World War II. This is not a military operation. This is not a rebranding of annexation of European territories. This should not be normal what Russians demand. They can demand it, but satisfying those demands should be illegal, not only immoral. Because Russians, as scumbag terrorists as they are, generational war criminals, they waged war long before Putin. They will wage war long after Putin. Russians have no peace. Ukrainians seek nothing but peace. We are polar opposites because Russia is a terrorist state. 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 Stop Russia, stop the war. 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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals. 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 All sanctions on Russia. All sanctions on Russia. All sanctions on Russia. All sanctions on Russia. This is why we gather here. This is why many Ukrainians and Brits and other nationals, they gather outside National Opera House when one of Putin's favorite musicians, she was supposed to perform there. There are so many. I can't even emphasize how many Russian comedians, Russian singers, Russian music bands are going to perform in next 6 months in London. Well, it was very ironic because this autumn Ivan Urgan is coming to London and the poster says, "Leaving Urgan."
I think we compare but I thought we would be saying something about we have not been supporting as a
very rare to have this opportunity in London. One of the most famous Russian-speaking London tour guides is on the park. So, this is why are going on regardless of what the war is going on. Russian athletes are allowed to compete in many sports, and Ukrainians won 2 medals against them recently. This is why it's so important, guys, that you realize every country needs gas, every country needs oil, but you do not need Russian gas and you do not need Russian oil. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Before full-scale invasion, I used to watch that guy's videos about London. This is how you recognize people. One of my friends used to organize and now still organizes all Russian music concerts regardless of their position on this war. And my friends told me, if you want a backstage pass to any concert, you can have it for free, you can come. And I have not been to any of them because nothing, absolutely nothing of Russian culture is of any interest over any normal Ukrainian. This is why our language is so important for us. This is why our culture is so important for us, because for the last 100 years, before 1991, our language was banned on dozens of occasions. Our literature was censored by Russians. This is why, for us, this is not just another conflict for a land. They keep saying, the journalists keep saying, that none of Ukrainian government satisfied that we can't be in NATO. Well, since when a non-NATO country can demand what NATO does? Who is in NATO? Finland joined NATO. NATO border with Russia has doubled. What has happened? Immediate repercussions. Nothing has happened. They are blackmailing Europe and they're getting away with it only when we believe them. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Tribunal for Russian war.
Люди чекають терапію.
Tribunal for Russian War Criminals. Що вже таке? Що, чекай?
Терапію.
За терапію. Ну давай подивимося.
War criminals.
Привіт, люди кучерявий говорять, бачите? Ага, великі борці за родину, за морем. Ну, як завжди, блін. Блін, мене іноді шокує той факт, що людям так важко, ну, в лапках важко, вони ж знають, що ми тут стоїмо. Їм якоби важко зрозуміти, чому люди роблять протести за кордоном. Якби ніхто нічого не казав за кордоном, за те, що відбувається в Україні, як люди мають за це знати? Бо я впевнений, що навіть зетники розуміють, що у Європі в цей момент не аж так весь час постійно говорять за Україну. Це означає, що якщо люди не будуть рухатись за цю тему, то як люди у Великобританії, або у Франції, або у Німеччині, або будь-де у світі будуть знати, що там відбувається? Чому не на фронті, не у окори? Окори. А що це таке окори? Це типу окопи хоче написати, да? Окори. Ухилян. Мені подобається, коли мене ухилян називають. Друзі, можете описати, що означає ухилян? Опишіть у коментарях, якщо можете. Я б хотів послухати. Так, що ще кажуть? Їжджай в Україну, ТСК. Прикольно. Ну, я вже мав цю розмову з вами багато разів минуло. Коли Європа об'єднається, коли вільний світ об'єднається, то тоді вам всім буде повна жопа, друзі. Але до того моменту робимо, що можемо, кажемо людям, що відбувається, і будемо бачити, що буде.
I'm happy to go on next. If you want to go on next, I respect that. It's up to you, really.
Чекай, Віталій, я тут if you want to go now,
9 in a minute silence.
База вимикає біль старі образи. Ось моє плече, на поруч бразі. Ось моя глибокі сумки кайвазі. Ось заходить слава, нова фаза. Працюю спокійно, як там вчимо. А наша зала за нашим стилем. І наші діти батьків родини.
Thank you, guys. Can you hear me? We must think about is the people who paid the ultimate price in Ukraine and have actually given their lives. And one thing we do at all our meetings here is that we have a minute's silence and lower the flags for those who've given their lives. So at this point in time, I'd like to ask for a minute's silence, please.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації! Україна! Україна! Україна!
Right, as I said, good afternoon everyone, thanks for attending this afternoon. Now, without a doubt, the major item of world news this week was the meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Putin. But one of the things that's very interesting to me is the number of people, Alaskans, who turned out to protest against Putin's presence. And one of the things that was very clear in one of the one of the posters that was presented was one saying, Alaska and Ukraine, Russian one will never again. I think you can notice that every nation that was under the heel of the Russian
Вони поговорили 5 хвилин і розійшлися. Того, що Путін сказав, я їх, блядь, заберу, вони не хотіли.
They've always claimed they want independence. One of the things that should be noticed is people talk about, the Russians talk about the aggressive expansion of NATO. NATO, the nations that have most wanted to join NATO have actually been subject to significant aggression by Russia or the Soviet Union. So when nations decide they would like to join NATO, Russia needs to look at its history and ask why these nations want to join NATO. So the most recent people to join NATO are Finland and Sweden. Now Sweden has been at war with Russia, but there was a war in 1939 known as the Winter War, when the Soviet Union invaded Finland in a very aggressive way, and for a while the Finns did actually have the highest per capita death rate of any nation in the Second World War. And this is when the Russians, the most invaded, were trying to seize land, which Finland ultimately wanted to protect itself. So when Russia is talking about nations joining NATO, they need to look at their own history. So for example, Poland is very keen to join NATO, but then France attacking Forest and the Russian army stopping outside Warsaw in 1944. Perhaps these events gave an idea of why these nations wanted to join NATO. And in terms of the Baltic nations wanting to join NATO, we need to look at Alexander Solzhenitsyn's novel, A Day in the Life of a Gulag prisoner. And in that he talks about the number of Balts who were actually held in the Gulag and how they were badly treated. Perhaps when Putin is going to talk about these nations wanting to join NATO, he needs to look at his history and why this is the case. So it's very keen to see that the good folk of Alaska didn't actually want to join in any way back with Russia. And it would be disturbing for me if I was a native of Alaska that the Russians have started to make noises about that in actual fact it wasn't bought from Russia for at least 100 years and they'd like it back. This echoes sympathies along the lines of anywhere there's been a Russian boot, then that's where it belongs to Russia.
Так. А де?
Що вже хочете?
Недостатня русофобія.
Ні, недостатньо русофобії. Зараз вам дам русофобію. Все, люди, якщо ви думаєте, що вас хтось ненавидить за вашу етнічність, то ви ще більші ідіоти, ніж виглядаєте. Ніхто вас не ненавидить за етнічність. Ми до вас маємо неприязнь, тому що ви на Україну напали, ви плануєте нападати на решту країн світу. У вас бедляцька влада, у вас бедляцька система, і ви хочете всім цю систему нав'язувати.
Руський мір.
Руський мір, точно. От за це вас ніхто не любить. От подумайте трішки, чому вас ніхто не любить, га? Є спойлер, це не через етнічність. Якби поводились як люди, вас би сприймали як люди, але ви поводитесь як звірі. От будуть вас сприймати як звірі і будуть з вами мати справу як з звірями. От звірина укусить людину, треба звірину
Як
вбити.
зомбі.
Все, як зомбі, точно. Оце мій вам меседж. Змініть свій світогляд, змініть свою країну, хоча ми всі знаємо, що цього не буде, але нічого страшного. В один прекрасний день ми упораємося з цією ситуацією, ми нарешті об'єднаємося з Європою, і тоді вам буде хана, друзі, вам буде повний кінець. Вашій країні, вашій системі, вашій у лапках культурі не буде цього існувати. Так що скажіть до побачення телебачення і побачите, що у вас буде за вашу поведінку, за вашу натуру, яку ви, до речі, вибрали. Ви такими не народились, не в тому справа, що народились. У вас просто гнила культура до кінця, до коріння. Це мій меседж вам поки що. Давайте, тримайтесь. Yanis, alright, bro. I asked them for the thing for you to
Peace
share.
conference notes.
So
So
they
this
should
shows
bring it in a
the
bit.
fact
They
that
didn't have
sanctions
it
are
on the
actually
spot when
real.
I came to them.
Well, the other thing that's
You're
worth
right, man. You
talking
look a
about
bit
is
drowsy.
that often sanctions are not a one and done
Maybe it's
thing.
the sun, no?
So you have sanctions, then the country
Have
that's
you
been
been eating?
sanctioned will try and circumvent those sanctions, and then you have another round of sanctions.
They'll bring
So to
you
my mind,
the
fact
pillow
we
in a
are
bit,
at
man. Don't
18th
worry
round of
about it.
sanctions
Just put it there,
is
bro.
to be welcomed, because this shows they're actually implementing. We're actually implementing sanctions, doing something about them.
Hey, Vitalik, where's Vitalik, man? I need to give him back his phone. I'm tired of these bloody Russians. Look, yeah. Again, they're talking about Ухилян. Чекай, wait. Говорит о победе хохлина Ухилян, трус, который чухнул за границу. Смайл. А в чем унижение Трампа? Вот ты, бутляцкий ребенок, где ТЦК? Боже мій, яке низьке IQ тут у розмові, я вам чесно скажу, яке низьке IQ.
Сьогоднішній удар трошки
Я його спитав, він каже, що ні, що не сонце. Не знаю, зараз ще раз спитаю. Я з ним говорив, що поговорив, сказав, що ні, не до сонця, що просто щось трошки неважно почувається. Знаєте, що можу його відвести сюди, що він сів в українці? Ні, він не українець. З ним по-українськи не говорить, він не зрозумів нічого. Деталі.
Can we take a break, please?
сонячний удар получив.
Let's put it outside and put some
Your hand, Яnis, забирайте.
Це в 22-му було, так?
У 22-му я просто згадала, що ми тут були ті величезні.
Ну так. Мій телефон навіть написав, що на жорі треба.
Не сидіти.
Так. Води треба. Без води. Вітаю, хлопче. Оболонь, Київ.
going to be all right. And we've called an ambulance for them as well, because obviously at the end of the day, we're all principally concerned about people's health and well-being, and that is the most important thing. So hopefully that will be all right. So as I was saying, thanks for attending this afternoon. Just to recap that we're facing problems, Russia's facing problems with oil and showing significant weakness in its economy. Now its economy is, as I say, primarily based on oil and price of hydrocarbons, and we're seeing the price of hydrocarbons go down. Well, we're also seeing that OPEC Plus, of which Russia and Saudi Arabia are the leading oil exporters of those countries, they've actually increased the output of their oil, so we can actually expect an increase in the price of oil, and this is actually going to hit Russia more than it will the other oil exporting countries, because the cost of Russia to actually produce this oil is significantly more than the cost of, for example, Saudi Arabia. The cost of Saudi Arabia to produce oil is about $4 a barrel, the cost of Russia to produce its oil is about $20 a barrel. So the marginal revenue that the Russians receive will be going down, and with this their ability to fight the war. To fight a war you need three things and an intangible thing. The three things you need to fight the war are money, people and resources. There's evidence that Russia is running out of money in the fact that its oil revenues are going down. The fact that it's running out of people can be indicated by the fact that it's paying increasingly high bounties for people to actually volunteer to fight for Russia. And Russia is also importing people from North Korea to work in its factories. So once again, that's a sign that it's running out of people. But long term, Russia is also running out of people because its population is suffering significant decline. So we do not believe our critics when they say that Russia is a country of infinite resources, because it is actually running out of resources. So we also need to look at the offensive that's recently taken place. The fact that Russia gave the impression that it was advancing, but it actually only managed to advance at 18 kilometres. And at that rate, it took the best part of 100 years to conquer the rest of Ukraine. But also we need to think about that has now actually been repulsed. So in the last year or so, Russia has managed to advance very, very slowly, whilst at the same time losing to its own country in force. So once again, it's trying to project itself as a powerful nation, but the reality of it is actually a powerful nation. Signs of setbacks are its failure in Syria. So for example, it's got to Syria, to provide additional resources to Syria. It's been kicked out of the Black Sea because Syria, a country without a navy, has proved itself to be able to defeat it. And also its withdrawal from Syria, or being kicked out of Syria, means it's also left the Mediterranean. So this is another tangible example of Russia being in retreat. But it's the reach of the Ukrainians. We don't talk about drones striking, but one of the key things this week was the sinking of a Russian drone ship that was bringing drones from Iran around to Russia. This was actually sunk as well. So this again shows the reach of the Ukrainian secret service, which is to be welcomed. So please, when you're listening to Russian propagandists talking about how powerful Russia is, don't just look at and believe them. Look at the headlines. Look how they're being kicked out. Look how their economy is becoming worth less and less. Look at how they are desperate to get more money in, which is why they send economics people off to summits and conferences. And this is why they demand the end of sanctions. So please always look at those things. Now I know it's been nice that I was very happy to take any questions because I'm not on a Russian press conference. So if anyone have any questions, anyone if you'd like to ask me?
Якщо так, то я видно. Крайдені 6 валанди. Jūsų tėtis buvo atvažiavęs, ne? Irgi sakė, kad pašnekėjo su juo, pasikalbėjo.
There was a question about, do I think any contracts were actually signed at the Alaska conference? My own view is there's rumours of an Exxon one being signed.
Spėjočia knyga parodyta.
That's actually the case.
Tai buvo dar lietuvių, kitų atėjęs.
Ne, jis rodė tai mergičką iš Kyjivo, kur fotografuoja daug ir savo fotoalbumą. Jinai papasakoja apie savo knygą, jis privertė pasižiūrėti savo knygą.
Čia visiems laikams ta knyga. Kiek sakėte egzempliorių? Kažkur 15 egzempliorių? Ar kiek jis išleido?
You
see? Dabar antrą rašo, kitais metais planavo užbaigti, bet sako, dar pusantro gal metų.
So, do I think deal will probably sign?
400 tai čia normalus tiražas. Visi giminaičiai išpirko.
Nu, panašiai giminaičių ten giminaitis ir jis planavo 200 pam, bet paskui žiūrė, kad visi palaiko dar nori, kiti.
Thank you for listening.
Зараз ти будеш, так?
А?
Зараз ти будеш?
Я буду. Я хочу комусь дати британський прапор, щоб
Слава Україні! Слава нації! Україна!
Понад усе.
Україна.
Понад усе.
Україна.
Понад усе.
Героям України тричі.
Слава, слава, слава.
Ворогам України тричі.
Смерть, смерть, смерть.
My friends, welcome to today's rally, where today we speak about the current no-win situation that the President of the United States has gotten himself into. Now, I'm not going to go long and wide talking about the imagery, because the imagery looks pathetic. A few U.S. soldiers, U.S. Marines, tucking in the red carpet under the stairs of the Russian plane. That is pretty bad imagery. Or perhaps should we talk about how Trump had to wait for Putin at the end of the red carpet for Putin to get his royal behind out of the plane and then speak to Trump? Well, at the very least, my friends, it's good to see that Putin has not become any less socially awkward than he used to be in the past, as he steps from foot to foot as he's talking to Trump, like a geriatric individual with some kind of a syndrome, with some kind of severe mental illness. And it's very clear, my friends, it's very clear he's not all right in there. But let's talk about what was achieved. Let's talk about the actual discussion at hand. Now, Trump, very rarely so, he actually managed to summarize the whole endeavor in one sentence. There is no deal until there is a deal. I mean, indeed, people die if they are killed. What a good thing to say, right? It's useful, true. It's very useful that Trump said that there's no deal until there is a deal. I didn't know that before he said it. I'm sure none of you did, my friends. It's very difficult to come up with. It's like saying 1 + 1 = 2. It's very important information, and I'm sure we all stand to gain something with it. Now, jokes aside, my friends, in this situation, in this latest debacle, in this shameful display, once again, from the United States, we see that the people who usually say nothing ever happens have once again been proven to be right. Nothing happened. Nothing. Trump met Putin, all of this build-up, all of this stuff, and then no deal whatsoever, nothing, no agreement, not even a whiff of information. The funny thing is, the people who support Ukraine say that Trump humiliated himself, which is true. And it's very funny to see the Z zombies on the Russian side say that somehow Putin humiliated himself. Now, funnily enough, my friends, they are, to a certain extent, correct. This shows that Putin cannot go forward with his maximalist demands in this war. But it also shows that Trump doesn't really care enough. Simply bang his face on the table and say, Putin, this is what you're doing.
Каплеты отважала, ne? Čia kažkas kvietė?
Jo, vienas iškvietė. Įdomu, kaip su dviračiu atvažiavo. Sumatęs.
Nothing but shame. Nothing but bad views for all the people. A bad look for the whole world. Once again, many times in the past. Keep in mind, the whole deadline Trump gave Putin, it just evaporated. It's as if it never existed. Think about it. What about all the countries that have pledged themselves to arrest Putin if he ever sets feet in there? What will they face now? Now that Trump has invited Putin to Alaska, as he called himself, as he invited him to Russia, apparently. I mean, I guess Trump thinks Alaska is Russia. Now that he invited him there to U.S. soil, what will the other countries think? What will the rest of the world think? It's ridiculous, my friends. It's an absolutely ridiculous situation to be in. Why must the free world keep playing chicken with Putin? Why must the free world keep asking? And then Putin drags his feet for a while, and then Putin denies what they ask for. How many times must this happen again and again and again, my friend? When will the free world finally understand that there can be no negotiations with the Russian terrorist regime until there are clear security assurances for Ukraine, until there are clear threats to Russia? Right now, Russia is not under threat by the free world, not officially. The free world has not voiced any action that they might do if Russia doesn't do what they're being asked to do. In other words, it's all just hot air coming out of people's mouths. No real meaning, no real reason, no actual objective to be had. It's just a perpetual feed drain. Always. Now why? Why should we do this? Why should we be part of this? Why should the free world humiliate itself as such as to give Putin a platform, let him speak as an equal to the President of the United States, my friends? Is that not something shameful for the United States? To have their own president be seen as an equal to Vladimir Putin, the head of a dying nation. Dying nation in many different ways, keep in mind. One of them is demographically. You know, these days they're trying to force Russian women to have more children. And they are simply dying off. And very few people actually want to move to Russia. Because countless times we've seen it happen and again and again. Countless times people from poorer countries go to Russia expecting to have a decent wage and to go back home with some money. They end up being given a rusty Kalashnikov and being sent to the battlefield by the Russian terrorist regime. Now how about that? For some extra earning. Now all the people have risen up. Now although there's still a lot of desperate people in this world that are willing and able to go to Russia, seeking a better future, they are not doing it as much as they used to. Friends, let's understand if Ukraine was provided with the most powerful weapons that the free world has to offer. No, I'm not talking about nuclear weapons. We're talking about fighter jets, about long-range missiles. Well, it is not Ukraine lacks. If Ukraine was provided with that, this war would have been over long ago. But no, we still see people stick to this idea of, oh, you know, if we give Ukraine our weapons, nothing will be left for us. Who else is there to fight in Europe? Who else is a threat to Europe but Russia? If Russia is put down for good, there will be no more threat to Europe. Is that not the purpose of weapons at the end of the day? To put your enemies down for good. Prevent them at the very least from attacking you because they know there's going to be retaliation. What retaliation is realistic to expect from Europe right now at this moment? Nothing. Europe is clearly scared of Russia. The United States, they do not give a damn about the situation, my friends. They don't care. They really, really do not care. And this is why we can't stress this enough. Europe must unite at long last. Or Europe will be split amongst the self-proclaimed world superpowers of the United States and China. Is that where we want to find ourselves in the future, my friends? Becoming a colony for either the US or the Chinese? Is that what we want to happen to us? For all the history of Europe, the long and illustrious history of this whole continent, to be trampled underneath ignorance. In our days, the people do not realize, no, they refuse to realize that the rest of Europe is next on the block. And keep this in mind, my friends. Take this from us as a Ukrainian rally. The world does not revolve around Ukraine. We never said it does. We never will say it does. Because it doesn't. But Ukraine is the first and most important step in the violent expansion of the enslaved world. The Russian terrorist regime, the Ayatollah terrorist regime in Iran, the North Korean terrorist regime, and yes, CCP China. Right now it seems like the United States are making this silly excuse that, oh, you know, we need our funds
Мама.
to prevent CCP.
Мама, вітаю. Віталій.
Добрий день.
З Литви.
Я думала, ви не з Литви, я думала, ви з...
Я з Донеччини, а потім в Литву приїхав. А у вас є хтось в Литві?
Я народилася.
Литовський калбат?
Я не розмовляю. Все життя в Україні прожила. Тільки до 5 років, тільки народилася. Я так сказати, дитя окупантів. Бо мій батько був військовий. Ну, як вони розуміють. Як вони розуміють. Каунас. Там аеродром Кармілава.
5 років уїхали, так?
Просто там народилися.
Ми маємо ще тут з Литви.
Багато.
Багато.
Ну, я не спілкуюся.
Українською.
It's worse than worthless. It's just allowing your enemy to go behind you and stab you in the back once again. No, my friends, we want peace.
А потім де у Вінниці, так?
Все життя.
Дітей. Бабуся роду моторішки кормила в Тімі, 5 спочатку і Вінниця. Дякую, Паляниця.
Гарного дня. Слава Діана.
Доброго дня, доброго дня. Дуже приємно бачити.
What deterrence do we have?
Бо я тільки народилася, Латвія це моя
as they did many times in the past, and they break any piece of land not to have.
І 5 років прожила.
Юлія.
Ukraine gave up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. In the biggest nuclear demilitarization in human history.
Були останній час?
Is an overwhelming sacrifice.
Була в Каунасі.
The greatest sacrifice anybody
Бачила
has made for world peace.
The Same, Майдан.
What did Ukraine get in return?
Коло
It's
театру.
getting browbeaten because of corruption.
Маєте
Corruption. When Ukraine was giving up its nuclear weapons,
Тільки завжди потрібно підтверджувати, де я народилась. Я потрібно посилати документи на Литву, що я там народилась.
Так можете паспорт зробити чи ні?
Ні, я вже зробила, а перед цим то завжди я посилала. Любий паспорт, український, то теж я повинна підтверджувати документи, що я народилась там, що не в Україні. Місце народження.
папа чи мама
А мама має литовський паспорт? Ні. Зробити чи ні? Євросоюз?
we don't know what to say right now, my friends, because Trump seems to be the world disgrace. Now, there's nothing wrong with going on your enemy. There's no problem with that. But you need to know what to say. You need to know what demands you can make. You need to know who you're speaking to. And the Russian terrorist regime, they do not care about condemnation. They stopped caring very long ago. One could say they never cared in the first place. However, why is it that we keep trying to see the Russian terrorist regime through the lenses of the free world? Why does that keep happening? Russia is not a European country. Russia is not a free country. Russia is not a country from the free world. Russia is not part of the West. It never was, never will be. Not the way they are right now. It may be in the future if the regime falls and there's a regime change influenced by the free world, which is what should happen. But my friends, right now, just like many times in the past, we're once again placing our bet in this imaginary good sense, in this reasonable opinion of Russia. What do we hear about Putin right now? Oh, Putin is a man of reason. Putin is so well spoken, is so classy. What class are we talking about? Is it perhaps him stepping from one foot to the other, as he's talking to Trump, like some kind of an individual with severe mental issues? My friends, the man belongs in a mental institute, not as head of a country. And I would say where I think Trump belongs, but I'm not going to make it that far, not today. Because Trump has done worse in the past. This time, Trump's actions are simply ineffectual. They're more of the same that he's done in the past. It's nothing. In fact, it's actually a little bit hurtful. Because it once again lowers the status of the United States of America. Who will care about the worth of the United States when we see their Marines kneeling towards the blade of an international war?
Як у хлопця справи?
Добре, добре, давай. Це моя вода.
У Лондон приїде? У Лондон, хлопець. Що він там? Кембриджі? Супер.
Так ти де?
Я тут живу.
Так що ти казав, що ти
Коли мені було 12 років, малючок, ми з Донеччини поїхали в Львів. А тут я вже 11 років. Як, мабуть, ти, так?
20. 19.
Якось так. Що я знаю литовську, українську, російську, інгліш. Ти польську знаєш? Вони, коли спілкуються, мене дуже смішно.
Воно схоже на українську.
Так, так.
Якщо вони дуже швидко розмовляють, а так можна зрозуміти.
Ну так.
Контекст. А так ні.
Знаючи російську та українську, ти можеш...
Можна зрозуміти щось. Я хотіла іспанську вивчити. Мені здається, що іспанська це сама проста мова.
Ну так. Нормально. Зараз я один. Усі у Європі. На морі, а я тут.
А де в Європі?
Латвія.
Латвія.
Латвія. Ну, почитаємо. Смерть москалян. Бачите? Дай гроші, дай. О, дякуємо за правду.
Ну, так погано, якщо навіть українці. Іноді там такі коментарі.
Так, так. Čia daugiausiai lietuvių, tik Algio trūksta.
Tai reikės padaryti nuotrauką Lietuvai.
Reikės, kai baigsim jo.
Aiste, jeigu norit, aš turiu trispalvę, galiu paskolinti. Turiu.
Bet galvoju paimti ukrainiečių, bet čia NATO.
Jau liko tik NATO.
But what happened afterwards? The Russians betrayed their word and went for war. So what's the point? What's the point?
Tanya, can I ask you to make this picture?
With absolutely no threat of repercussions.
It's actually Lithuanian Nazis were in Hungary. And she was kicked out of the game.
For wearing this.
So now she made a big deal and they made like t-shirts.
They're not ready to actually go through it.
I was like a bit anxious to wear it, but
So we should not make threats that we're not ready to actually implement.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
I was a bit anxious to wear it in times that, for example, I wanted to go out at night, but I don't know, let's say there's Russian somewhere in a dark corner, and what's gonna happen?
Jūsų firminė, kad matytųsi.
Is meaningless to him. He feels like no matter what he does, no matter how angry Trump may get, All Putin has to do is to have a quick chat with him to say how great of a president he is and how accomplished he is, how big and strong he is. And then Trump will mellow down and say, yeah,
but outgoing, yra daug rusų, galvoju, lemba įsivakarą
Reikėjo Merliną pasiimti kartu.
Tai šiandien vien dieną, ir kažkaip dabar žiūriu, niekas tik nežiūri, tai baisilokai, nu vis tiek lemba galvoju, ne, rimtai.
Super. Jau tai teks su Merlinu, arba Merlinu, arba
Aš
Telės šunelį.
jį galiu apginti.
Go ahead. What's your question?
My question is, do you think Biden or whoever was running our country at that time, do you think they had the answer?
That's your question.
That's-
All right,
do
so
you think
did
they
Biden
had
or
the-
anyone else have the answer?
They had the answer to bring peace because I hate war. This is senseless. All these
We all do.
people, we all do. All these people are dying, whether it's in Ukraine, whether
Yes.
it's in Gaza, whether it's in Israel.
Yeah, so your
It's
question is, did Biden have
Did
the
you
answer?
think, because I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Go on, go on.
Okay, I'm a Trump supporter because
I get it.
honestly, in our country,
Uh-huh.
shit was bad.
Okay,
Shit was
okay,
bad.
sure.
And the American and I'm telling you on my side, and I'm not being.
No, I get your
I am
question.
not
Let me answer your question then. Let me answer your question.
Do you think Biden or whoever?
Did Biden or Obama or any other person,
Do you think
any other
they
president,
had the
did they have the answer?
Stop
Okay, that's a good question. I like that question. Thank you. No, they did not.
Thank you.
They weren't doing the right thing.
Okay.
But they were doing slightly better. Not Obama. I don't like the way Obama was dealing with this situation at all. Obama was pretending nothing was happening. Let's just talk about that. So Obama had one of the worst approaches to the whole thing. Obama is the president who allowed Putin to feel at ease to commit further atrocities because it was, as we all know, during Obama that Russia initially annexed Crimea. And Russia initially went into the Donbass and started this war in 2014, all the way back there. So I do agree with you. I'm not going to start, sugarcoating what Obama did or what Biden did. Biden is the pinnacle of the critique I was giving the Europeans right now, of giving Ukraine enough to survive, but not enough to actually achieve anything meaningful on the battlefield. It's not the right thing to do.
But all the taxpayers' money, my tax, everything. There's so much corruption in the United States. Okay?
Well, there's corruption everywhere.
No, absolutely. But it is coming out because people were asleep. People were asleep for many, many decades.
But hold on a second. Let's talk about the corruption, though. Let's talk about the corruption. So corruption is a different point from the whole point of geopolitics. I agree with you. It's not good to see corruption as a whole. But geopolitics is a little bit of a different topic. So I guess we shouldn't be jumping to corruption. You know what I mean? My point about this is the United States has a great power in this world. It's still the most powerful country in the world, although I would say it's on a bit of a decline with the recent administration. But anyway, the biggest power, the greatest power of the United States is not its military, it's not its resources, it's its worldwide influence. It used to have an overwhelming amount of influence, allies everywhere. No matter who would speak out, would do something against the United States, they would have 10 allies on each spot to immediately oppose them. And if a war started, the allies would be the ones fighting the war, and then the United States could come in and bring the coup de grace, finish off their enemies very easily. That was the greatest power of the United States. Look at America now. They have lost their monopoly on alliances worldwide. The Europeans, no trust for the United States anymore. The United Kingdom is the last ally the United States have in Europe. And even they are losing hope in the United States for the future. Why is this happening? Because of Trump right now. Biden did damage. Was not good. But Biden was not ruining this great power the United States have, this great alliance network. Trump he's losing credibility worldwide.
You have to understand too, we had nobody else to fix. But Biden.
You don't like Nikki Haley?
I'm sorry?
Nikki Haley, you don't like Nikki Haley?
She did not have the balls
Okay, I guess you think she's a Reno, like Republican only in name. In name only. Fair enough. No, it doesn't matter if she's a woman or not. I just think her policies were better. I agree with you. I agree with you. It got pretty bad, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I sympathize with you. Look, nothing against the Americans. Well, I just want to say one thing. We still see America as an ally, as friends, as people we actually look up to them. We hope Ukraine will be free from Russia and we'll be able to establish a strong democracy, a strong democratic system. But we need to call a spade a spade. Right now, America is going through a time of democratic backsliding. They're kind of sliding back on a lot of things they used to have good. Look, J.D. Vance, for example, I don't know if you heard about this story. Not too long ago, there was a Norwegian student who was supposed to go to the U.S. He was banned from the U.S. because they found a meme about J.D. Vance with his bald head and whatever. It was like total shock. On his phone, he was banned. And J.D. Vance, he had the face to say, oh, you know, in the United Kingdom, there's no freedom of speech. What? There's no freedom of speech. Sorry? 100%, I completely agree with you. Well, then again, I'm sure I would be able to do this in the United States. I'm sure I wouldn't go to jail, right? I hope so. But there might be consequences, yes. That's right. Sorry, what's your name? Rose. It's nice to meet you, Rose. No, I appreciate your question. It's very good. Oh, welcome. Listen, I hope the United States will be a strong, prosperous, powerful country. We wish all the best for the United States. For the whole world, 100%, for the whole world. But I believe there's one main issue right now with Trump supporters. I'm not talking about you in particular. I'm talking about in general. It's this idea of isolationism is good. A lot of people seem to think, oh, you know, the United States, why are we wasting all the taxpayer money going to these countries? Why USA? We don't need USA. That is a little bit of a two-dimensional view of the world. The United States does not exist in a vacuum, separated from the rest of the world. And sure, it can subsist, it can survive, it has the resources for that. Not a lot of countries can. The United States can. But they will never prosper. And do you really think that any person who supports isolationism or Trump or whatever sort of conservatism there is in the United States right now, do they really think that in the United States, back from every single country that supports that, they just remove all of their bases, remove all the foreign taxpayer support, they call it foreign wars, whatever they call it. If they do that, is China going to leave the United States alone? Never. They will push forward. They will take over the countries where the United States removed from. 100%. Completely agree. Unity in the free world. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Round of applause for this brave lady, guys. Very brave. Thank you very much for your question. You know, guys, I love when people ask good questions. This was a very good question. We had very good interaction with our American friends. Once again, my friends, despite all the critique I've been giving to the current Trump administration, we still hope for the best for the people of the United States of America, as they are a huge asset for the free world. They are still the most powerful country in the world. And we hope they will make the right decision and not go within this path of isolationism. Of, oh, you know, let's just shut ourselves in. We don't need our taxpayer money to go abroad, to go to these foreign wars. What is that all about? That is the greatest power of the United States, to be able to influence the world. To be a good influence, above all. Look at Germany, post-World War II. It got reformed. Now it's one of the top economies in the world. One of the freest countries in the world. Look at Japan, same thing. And France. It works to beat your enemies and change their ways. It does work. We've seen it happen after World War II. So why all of this lack of trust, lack of hope? I'll tell you why. It's because one thing that this lady mentioned, there's a lot of corruption as well. So that needs to be dealt with. But just because there's corruption, my friends, doesn't mean we should simply tie our own hands behind our back and not move a muscle. Oh, you know, whoever I help is going to be corrupt individuals. No, that's not a good view to have. The best view to have is to have agency in this world. Now this country, this great country of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, it has a history of initiative on the world stage, and it should stay true to this initiative. I'm personally very happy to see the United Kingdom re-establish good relations with France and Germany. It's very important. UK, France and Germany together. And Russia would stand no chance on the battlefield against them. However, my friends, Europe is still not ready. Europe is still struggling quite a lot to deal with the hybrid warfare of the Russian terrorist regime and to actually manage to separate itself. Europe is going through a very big moment, a very big identity crisis right now. Europe is not sure what it is, you know. Some of these individuals, like Orban, they scream and shout, oh, you know, we're going to make Europe great again, kick out all the migrants, kick out all the migrants. These people cannot be trusted. These people do not have their country as their top priority. They have their pockets as their top priority. Orban got caught in one of the worst pedophilia scandals in European politics ever. Did Orban resign? No! He's still in charge. Even after the big protest against him, he did not resign. And his support was still religiously following him. So my friends, very important to remind everyone, our number one message is unity of the free world against the enemies of the free world. The Russian terrorist regime, the Ayatollah strength of each country of the free world to invest in your military is no longer something that's nice and looks good on paper. It is something essential for the safety of each country in Europe, now threatened by the Russian terrorist regime. But the war, my friends, the most direct war in the trenches is not here. Here we have hybrid war, here we have subversion, here we have arson attempts, assassination attempts, and kidnapping attempts by the Russian terrorist regime. Some of them end up being successful. As we've seen many individuals under British protection being assassinated by the Russian terrorist regime. One of the most important of them all is Litvinenko, the ex-KGB agent, ex-FSB rather agent. I sometimes confuse them because they're so similar. They're exactly the same organization, for those who don't know. They just rebranded the name. It's like the Russian anthem. That's an interesting bit of trivia for anyone who doesn't know. The Russian anthem they have right now is the same melody as the Soviet anthem, except with slightly different words. It's the same exact thing. They didn't change. They're the same. But my friends, our message is, the path towards victory lays through the victory of Ukraine above all. Fighter jets for Ukraine! 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 Air defense 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 for Ukraine! Long-range missiles 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 for Ukraine! Let Ukraine strike back! 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 More sanctions on Russia! 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 Seize Russian assets! 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 No trade with Russia! 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 That, my friends, is the solution. It's a solution that was well visible long ago. But alas, because of internal strife within the free world, as this lovely lady I spoke with said, corruption as well within the free world. The free world has been unable to implement these solutions properly. Now the proper procedure is as follows, my friends. First, we unite. Europe must be united, the free world must be united. Then we must destroy the enemies of the free world. The proverbial enslaved world. Russia, Iran, North Korea,
I might thank
Can you say something in live stream in Latvian?
Jā,
valodā?
protams.
Okay? Hop.
Latvia supports Ukraine. Mēs esam ar Ukraine visi kopā. I don't remember more Latvian. Sorry, English.
Okay.
Let's support Ukraine.
Okay, thank you very much. Paldies.
Paldies. You put me on the spot.
How long you here?
16, 17 years. I mean, I speak Latvian, but when you put me on the spot like that, I won't be able to.
Okay.
In a converstion where people ask me questions, I can talk more.
Okay. Anyways, thanks.
Thank you. If I have to.
Okay. Good.
Але наступну неділю буде стільки спікерів. Ой-ой, буде черга стояти.
Це звичайні дні.
А тут буде, так?
The United States are scared of staining their hands with Russia.
Тут?
Ні, тут.
Що повинен не тут?
Він англієць робить. В кафе працює.
Ну ладно. Віка, це ти? Віка, це ти?
Так, це я.
Як ти?
That's what we can say about Trump's actions right now. He tried so hard to get
Почитаємо
Nobel Peace Prize. He tried so hard
Україна фобов.
to negotiate
Російське читаєш?
and powerful Trump coming forward and bringing peace back to Europe. Well, my friends, there is no peace in Europe.
От укроокупант.
Because Russia does not care about these
Ферми прямо
the art of the deal. The art of no
бачите,
deal.
думаю, слухай,
Але є
That's
і наші.
Trump's art.
Дякую, що
He's
ви
created nothing. He changed nothing. He only made things worse.
Україна капіна.
So, my friends, we beseech, we
просто знаєш,
and we
навіть
remind
якщо це живі
the
люди,
whole
то
free
типу,
world
наші собі нерви, знаєш.
the Russian terrorist
Не вже
regime is the
були,
enemy.
зараз вже не нерві.
Ukraine is the antidote to this poison.
Читати
Now, the best case scenario is to help the antidote win, not to deal with the poison yourself later. That, my friends, is our message.
Нам треба почати писати, щоб віддали нам Кубані. Хай там трошки показяться.
Україна! 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 Героям України тричі! Слава! 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 Ворогам України тричі! And now, my friends, we're going to have a short musical break.
Young. Very good. Дякую за підтримку. А звідки ляти? Перший раз бачу. Ліо, звідки ляти? Дуже дякую. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі.
Слава! Слава! Слава!
It is why it's so important that Ukraine wins, because when not if Ukraine wins, democracy wins, freedom of speech wins. This is essential for Europe's future, and this is why so many European countries, everyone but Hungary, there is always every family, like European Union is a family, every family has someone like Hungary, a difficult one that is invited to dinner but often ruins that dinner. This is why few countries decided to be neutral, yet they help even Switzerland when Germans and French give us any military aid, it gets replenished by that military aid that Switzerland gives them. So even by staying neutral, they still help, but in their own neutral, very slow and passive way. This is why it is so important that every single Ukrainian soldier who died from 2014 until today, they don't die for a deed. Millions of Russians trying to kill as many Ukrainians as possible every single day. And this is why next Sunday, we're going to gather here for our Independence Day at 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. And then we will make our own way, and around 6 o'clock we're going to put flowers on a statue of Saint Volodymyr in Holland Park. We will meet there for those, but everyone will make their own way there. There will be no march. We're going to just have an independence war rally here from 3 till 5 next Sunday, and then at 6 we will gather to put flowers for every single soldier that gave their life for peace, for every single soldier who gave opportunity to Finland and Sweden to safely and promptly join NATO and feel safe. This is why it is so important for so many countries. We have here Lithuanians, we have here Latvians, we have so many different nations, Portuguese, we have people from Tanzania, we have people from all over Europe that are standing with us, that are holding our flag, because Ukrainian flag is a symbol of freedom and peace. It's anti-dictatorship flag. After this war is over, we will have another president. After this war is over, every corrupt Ukrainian politician will be prosecuted. We will have another war on corruption. Every single country in the world has corruption. But what does not have corruption in any shape or form is Ukrainian desire to be free. My great-grandparent on my father's side, my great-granddad got shot by a firing squad because Russian communists thought that being an Orthodox priest 100 years ago was against their agenda. They robbed my mom's family, they took everything. 1932 to 1933 we had Holodomor. 90 years later, nothing has changed with Russians. Their great-grandparents were trying to kill us by starving us. Their grandchildren are now trying to kill us with low-precision North Korean rockets, suicide drones, none of which are aimed at our military. Our military is fighting their military. Their military is fighting our civilians because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 And guys, I don't know how about you today, but I will check that me and Irene, we spoke. I was not mistaken. The guy in that cylinder hat was, before the full-scale invasion, before all the visas got cancelled for Russians, he was one of the most successful, most famous Russian Russian-speaking London guys. I forgot his name. His name is irrelevant, but I know why he has that hat with him. That's the hat that I recognize. He looked very different now. On the 4th year of a full-scale invasion, lots of people in Latvia, Russian-speaking, some of them are my friends, they lost jobs because they used to be real estate agents for the Russians. For the Russians laundering money in Latvia. For the Russians laundering their money all over Europe. This is why it is so important that there will be more sanctions. It is why it is so important that they should be ashamed of themselves. They can't separate them from their sins. Russian flag is worn by million plus Russian soldiers who are trying to kill as many civilians as possible. Raping and killing, looting and destroying. That's all they are doing in Ukraine for 1,370 days now. And they've been doing it long before this invasion. Since 2014, nothing is enough for Russia. In 2014, Crimea was enough, but they did not stop there. Donetsk and Lugansk region is not enough. Now they want 4 regions. Putin is saying, make Russian language official language in Ukraine. If you leave this region, I will give you a tiny bit of that region. Guess what? In the last 1,370 days, Russia has failed to occupy even one region fully. It will take Russia more than 80 years to occupy the whole of Ukraine with a rate like this. Some military analysts have calculated the cost. When I don't know guys, I don't know the rate now, but there was we only go with rates of currency. So the currency rate, you can say like 30 Ukrainian hryvnia is $1. You can that rate will change with inflation. Guess what? 1 square kilometer of Ukraine has a value of around 30 Russian lives. And this is a normal rate for them, and they can live with that or die with that, if you understand what I'm talking about. For Russians to lose more than 1 million in killed and wounded in Ukraine is nothing, is absolutely nothing. They do not cherish lives because they are sending their worst against our best, our singers, our musicians, our poets, our athletes, best athletes. Hundreds of them got killed by Russian aggression and by this conflict. For Ukraine, peace is very simple. Leave us alone. Stop killing us. Return 19,500 children that you have kidnapped and misplaced by force. They are even have a database right now. You can look it up online. On occupied regions, they made a shopping list for the children. They say how compliant they are, what is the color of their eyes, what their hobbies are, and you can adopt a skillful child that can play piano, and he will play for the Russian scumbags. Who killed the parents of that little girl who they are advertising right now? Russians, because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
And if you ask an average Ukrainian, you can ask one every day for the rest of your life. And an average Ukrainian, if you ask him, what do you dream about? He will say, I am dreaming about peace. I'm dreaming. If you ask a Ukrainian woman, she will say to you, I really want for my husband to be alive when I come back. I want freely to go back home. I want freedom. I want peace in my country. I want to wake up and not being hunted by Iranian Shahid drones, North Korean missiles. And if you ask an average Russian, he will tell you they haven't finished business in Moldova. They haven't finished business. They don't like how Armenia politics are going. They don't like how Georgian politics are going. They don't like how the things in Latvia are going. They keep threatening every single neighbor for one reason and one reason only. Because having Russia as a neighbor, having Russia as a friend of your political regime is the biggest burden any civilian can handle in their lifetime. My parents grew up in a Russian occupation in Latvia and in Ukraine. This is why we gather here. For us, peace is not a business deal. Peace is very simple. Our peace is based on Geneva Convention and international law, according to UN Charter that was made. Most of the points there, that especially about annexation of territory, was made and written down in 1945 for one reason and one reason only, because countries like the USSR, which doesn't even exist anymore, but Russia identifies as one. They annexed part of Finland and other territories. They occupied Baltic countries. For them, annexation is their favorite hobby. They did it in Moldova, they did it in Georgia, they are doing it in Ukraine right now. And all we want is for the first war for Ukraine to become the last war for Russia, because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
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 Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
And this is why we gather here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. for 2 hours from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. and every Sunday like today from 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. And we had more than 500 war rallies in last 3.5 years. One MP told us last year that to his memory this is the longest peaceful war rally in history that he remembers in the history of Britain. We wish it was the shortest one. We will gather funds. We will help our friends and relatives who are on the front line. I was born in Czech Republic. I grew up in Latvia. I was always a visitor in Ukraine. I lived in England for the last 2 decades. But when the full-scale invasion started, I could not sleep for 6 months because this is personal. Because my both parents are Ukrainian. And the Russians are hunting us down like animals. Animals are hunting Ukrainians. This is why it is so important and this is why it's so personal. And please, we're gonna have, in few seconds, we're gonna have our national anthem. Please translate it into English or any language that you speak and you will understand our struggle. Russia is not a Ukrainian problem. Wagner mercenaries in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Central African Republic, Syria until last autumn. Georgia 2008, Moldova 92, Chechnya twice in the 90s. Now in Ukraine. This is why we are gathering here. Peace and freedom for Europe. Slava Ukraini! Україна! Україна! Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі.
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Дякую.
Не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми браття козацького.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
І найкращим захисникам і захисницям тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Всім дякую! Все буде Україна!
Well, I was forced. I was always part of the fight. But
Україні,
Уно маємо сьогодні?
Маємо. Я не знаю, куди будемо йти, то де люди розбігаються трохи. Ну зараз побачимо, хто буде лишах. Трохи не йдемо.
Може, якщо я пізнати, що я буду
Давай.
bueno, but we got 1.5 million monthly employees. So this my biggest task is Ukrainians in front line. Just by trying to protect only get shot by the army, by the military, or by or to get.
Який? За нетребко?
Та вже був.
Так вже був один,
Так, за нетребкою.
Але має ще бути у дні її виступів. Я не впевнений, коли її виступи, що правда.
Так її виступ 7 вересня.
Я не впевнений, коли в неї виступ.
Але ж на плакаті було написано.
Це було уніження Трампа, да, ні. О, прикольно, зетники не думають, що Трамп принизив себе. Ну, звісно, зетники думають, що Путін себе принизив, да? Це вони думають з наркошизи. Ну, вони також казали, що Усік москаль. Що я можу сказати? Блін, хворі люди.
Да ви, блядь, проскамились, як останні проститутки.
Ну, да. Життя як зелений слонік, блін. Що кажуть тут, Юра? Сегодня без славы и Дракс.
Да ваш Путин с Трампом конкретно обосрались із подливой.
Дракса? Що, він за Драг Куін говорить? Щось таке. Ладно, я йду там поможу чувакам.
Да, Трамп конкретно обосрался.
Just passing by smiling, and I was like,
support the things together. I don't care what nationality they are.
Ну что, мемчики помнишь? На русском.
Ну, сейчас придумаю. Какие мемчики использовать?
Смешные.
No, but with Russians we had a guy. My
Где Павлов?
same name as
Мент!
Yuri. Yeah, like very similar.
Мент! Чего тебе от меня надо? Вали отсюда, блядь!
Не матюкайся, не матюкайся. А потім вони скажуть своїм латвійським друзям, і з тобою буде те, що тоді було, коли з прапором. Ніякої агресії, ти навіть не знаєш, з ким ти говориш.
Я знаю,
Тебе,
я взагалі
З русною погано.
а вони вже твоє лицо бачили, молодець. Влад, то коли прилетить, ти знаєш за що, так? Матом прикрив, вони кулаком прикрили один-один, так? Ніколи не
Ну,
матюкайся.
что ты скажешь по-болгарски?
Какво бих казала? Бих казала, изобщо да не се интересуваме нито от Тръмп, нито от Америка. Интересуваме се само от Украина и нейното бъдеще. Точка.
Слава България.
Да, слава на Украина, да. Защото без тази война, ако се спечели от Русия или изобщо ако има такъв вариант, много зле ще бъде за всички. Ние повече москвичи няма да караме. Не, руски парфюми не обичаме.
Супер.
Where do you put this? Anywhere.
Ютубчик.
Я не увидела, где твой ютубочка. Настя против употреблять русский, так что не хочу говорить по-русски перед Настей. Где твой ютуб? Скажи мне.
Злой Юра. Алло.
Пішли потроху.
Недостатня русофобія. Давай.
А ну, пусти. Скаже, все нормально.
Недостатня русофобія. Тримай.
Блін, що вони хочуть вже?
I'm sorry about that.
It's alright, Jens.
He said it was they said that your blood pressure isn't dangerous. He said it's not normal.
Well, you know, we're gonna send you home. And that's it. Ухилянти, вони є ухилянти. Чувак, поясни, що таке ухилянт? Можеш пояснити? Значення слова ухилянт. Бо я думаю, ви не дуже і розумієте це слово. Ви всіх підряд називаєте ухилянтами, ви взагалі не допираєте, що таке ухилянт. Я не думаю, що ви це знаєте. Я можу побитись об заклад, можу бабло покласти на кон, що ви не розумієте, що таке слово ухилянт. Спойлер вам всім, це не по автоматі українець за кордоном, це не ухилянт. Не знаю. Ну ладно, кажіть, що хочете. Ми вже всі знаємо прекрасно вашу риторику. Це вже люди, які наївні, їх це може заживе взяти. А ми прекрасно знаємо, що ви, звісно, не хочете, щоб люди йшли на фронт. Ви хочете, щоб люди просто мовчали. Sorry?
We're going to go to St. James Park for a bit because it's on. I'm going to have a little picnic for a bit.
Oh, is it?
Just in case you want to join later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just let me know, yeah?
Yeah, maybe I'll come with you guys. Yurgi, hold on. Man, I'm gonna struggle to contact you guys in a bit. Would you mind coming with us? We're just gonna take Yanis to the station, and then
You can just go, I'll be
go
fine.
there. No, it's okay. I'll take you to the station, man. Yurgi. Yeah, cheers. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Так, що кажуть? Михаїл, дякуємо за підтримку України. Героям слава. Правильно. Хто не прыгає, тот москаль. Мосеаль. Мосеаль. Що таке Мосеаль, не знаю. Допоможіть мені, люди, що таке Мосеаль. Ще хтось щось скаже, вже 79 людей всі вже звалили. Не дуже ви, люди, хочете цю профілактику, цю терапію. Не дуже вам це подобається, бачу. Ну ладно. Вам ж платять за годину, щоб ви йшли, срали у коментарях, розстиралися з людьми. Ось таке порожнє у вас життя, люди. Do you see Vitaly, Georgi? This is his phone, man. I gotta give him back his phone. Gotta give him his phone in a bit. He just gives me his phone and then walks away. That's pretty funny. English comments. Who wants to say something in English? Start to speak English, guys. We are in London after all. It's very important for us to speak the mother tongue here. When in Rome, Do like the Romans. That's how the saying goes. That's a good saying, I think. When in Russia, behave like an animal. That's how it is, guys. Actually, I'm joking. You shouldn't be behaving like an animal anywhere. But you know, in Russia they do anyway. So my words won't change anything. The thing that will change something is for the regime to collapse and for the free world to impose a new regime on Russia. De-Putinization of the Russian lands, de-Russification of the occupied lands. That is what we're going to do. How about that? Що ще кажуть? They're not really saying anything else. I guess they lost interest here. Ай-яй. Yurgi, should we buy something for the picnic or something? Yeah, maybe on the way back we'll pass through Tesco's.
Got your sandwich there.
Oh, is it? You sure you don't want it? А, вони вже розійшлись, 61 чувак. Я трошки по-англійськи, по-українськи, вони вже... Чекай, що ще кажуть? Как і на окраїні Богдашка. І нас сказав неправильно, і окраїні неправильно. От лише москаль може сказати фразу і 10 разів помилитись в кожному слові. От лише москаль це може зробити, більше ніхто у світі це не вміє. Да. Ну я розумію, що цей наркошист тут навмисно помиляється, типу, щоб заживе взяти, але вони коли не навмисно, все рівно помиляються. Да? Рашка-парашка, да? В Україні класно, но те не те, що в твоїм Мухосранську. Мухосранську, це прикольно. Я зацінив.
Там, де муха срала.
Ну. Да, сладкий хліб, блін. Сладкий хліб, їбучий. Ой, Боже. Що ще кажуть? А вони вже взагалі щось нічого не кажуть. Диви, Віталій. Вони звалили, вони подивились на протест, трошки роком посрали, а потім взяли та й повернулись та й пішли в інше відео обливати людей лайном. Зазвичай так роблять. Блін, тут стало...
Хто з Зеленським завтра буде у Вашингтоні?
Хто?
Фон дер Ляйн.
А, Урсула.
Британці.
Ну да, я чув, що вони будуть зустрічатися всі разом. Ось, вибачила. Фрідрих Мерц, да. Да, вони цього разу, блін, там... Я думав, що це за когось іншого, що я не знав, скажеш. Да, вони вирішили піти з Зеленським, щоб Трамп не мав цих ідей, що зараз він знову може на нього настрибнути і почати йому голову морочити своїм фуфлом. Цього разу, я думаю, по-іншому все піде. Ну, що, скажіть, москалі, якщо ще лишились якісь тут боти, москалі у коментарях. Що, срака труситься? Боїтесь за завтра? Бійтесь, вам є що боятись. Ви, наркошизи, підтримуєте терористів, а тепер з вами будуть поводитись як з терористами. Побачите. Да, такі справи. Що ще кажуть? О, якої ти національності, як ти не рус? Послабіно. Слава УССР. Боже мій. Це типа якийсь Google Translate сюди приперся, да? Так же как и ухилян, говорящий на англійському, смайлик. Алекс Міллер. Ну, як ти мене тут називаєш всякими словами, всякими прозиванками, я не думаю, що ти добре знаєш, що вони взагалі означають. Але суть у тому, що у тебе Алекс Міллер ім'я, а ти по-москальськи говориш. Який ти в сраці Алекс Міллер, чувак? Називай себе Іван Петрович. Як треба. Я знаю, що у вас там у Росії є така поговірка. Деньги є, Іван Петрович, денег нет, последня сволоч. Отак завжди у вас. Так що називай себе последня сволоч, чувак, бо грошей в тебе явно нема. Явно в тебе бабла нема, чувак, нема в тебе нічого. Ви було бабло, ти би не ходив онлайн, не обсирав людей за кордоном. Алекс Миллер продолжим. Какая республика была главной в СССР? Прикольно. Що таке? Німець, я Богдашка. Німець. Ти німець чи ти Богдашка? Да, цікаво. Where's Янус? Oh, there's Янус, okay. I lost him for a second. Oh, hold on a sec. Look at here. Look at here. Look at cheeky bugger. How are you, bro? Good to see you, man. We're taking Янус to the station. Okay, all right. We'll be on the movie in a sec. Okay. Wanna come, Aidan? Yeah. Okay, alright. You know where to go, you know where to
just told me something, so I know.
I mean, we'll see you in a bit then. Okay, what's here? RSFCR. Боже мій, що це за, суп з літер? Ліо, слава Україні. Где ваши герои на Сумщине гниют? Хо-хо-хо! So funny! So funny! So funny! А де ваші герої, га? У попіл перетворились? Бо вашим свиноматкам там Росії, їм навіть не платять бабло за кожного мертвого чмобіка. Їх там взагалі спалюють, ховають тіла, а вам нічого не показують.
Да если вы стрелите, то мимо цели.
Самі собі в рот сруть, люди. Я не знаю, за що ви воюєте, люди, кого ви захищаєте? Приходите в коментарі облити, самі себе облити мочою, Це русская мочь, ні, русская моча. І ця моча відрами на вас лиється. Від Пукіна. А від того Пукіна обов'язку.
Ваша русская мощь – это говнотерапия.
Ну, бачиш, Владик знає. Як в зеленому слонику, да? Берете і жирете сладкий хліб.
Сладкий хлеб.
Алекс Миллер, как хочется англичанином быть, не являясь таковим, да?
Курлик.
Та мені якби все рівно, я за етнічність день і ніч не говорю. Це лише ви такі розумні говорите за це. О, я русський! І всяка така фігня. Це що, вірите в цю хуйню, що якби русська защита, чи що? Це якийсь там фільм був їбучий ваш. Діти проти чародеї, чи як це? Ти знаєш, ти чув за це? Блін, який крінж! Який крінж! І це головне ваша влада. Давала ваше бабло з кишені, ваше. Унеслись у цю хіроню, А ви це дивитесь і да, я русский, у мене є русская защита, боже мій, яке кончене.
Ой, самі себе в задницю долбите.
Та вони взагалі, я не знаю. Якісь наркошези останні. Люди, я не знаю, що вам казати.